Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever woken up from a dream of falling, only to be jolted back to the reassuring solidity of your bed? That firm, unyielding pressure is gravity, the silent, invisible force that has dictated every moment of every life that has ever existed on this planet. It's the reason apples fall down, not up. It's why we have feet instead of fins, and why our bones have the density to hold us upright. But what if, one morning, you woke up and that feeling was gone? What if, with a simple thought, you could just float? Imagine a world where the fundamental rule of existence is no longer a law, but a suggestion. A world where you could step off a skyscraper and decide, halfway down, that you'd rather not. This isn't just about flying cars or floating cities. This is about rewriting the very code of reality. The consequences would be immediate, catastrophic, and utterly transformative. Imagine the moment it happens. Not with a bang, but with a quiet, collective, and deeply personal choice. Scientists have dubbed it the G event. On a seemingly ordinary Tuesday, at precisely 9:41 a.m. Coordinated Universal Time, every human being on Earth simultaneously gains conscious control over their personal gravitational field. It's not a machine, not a global experiment gone wrong. It's a sudden, inexplicable evolution of consciousness. One moment, you're tethered to the Earth like everything else. The next, you possess the ability to simply let go. The initial hours are pure chaos. In New York City, a window washer on the 80th floor of the Empire State Building accidentally thinks about being lighter to ease the strain on his back and abruptly shoots upward, his harness snapping. In Tokyo, a crowded subway car becomes a terrifying, zero-G pinball machine as panicked commuters, unused to the sensation, push off surfaces and careen into each other. Millions, perhaps billions, perish in these first few minutes. People sleeping in high-rise apartments float into ceilings. Drivers, momentarily distracted by the strange lightness in their stomach, lose control of their vehicles, which now have a completely different relationship with the road. The very concept of down becomes subjective. The world's infrastructure, built on the absolute certainty of gravity, begins to fail. Bridges, designed to handle downward compressive forces, experience strange new stresses as vehicles and people untether from their surfaces. Skyscrapers, once symbols of humanity's defiance of gravity, become death traps. Power grids fail as transformers and transmission lines, delicately balanced, are thrown into disarray. Water towers, which rely on gravity to create pressure for entire cities, are suddenly useless. Rivers, no longer bound by gravity's consistent pull, begin to behave erratically. The oceans, a massive body of water held in place by this fundamental force, would slosh with terrifying consequences. Massive tsunamis, not caused by seismic activity, but by trillions of tons of water momentarily untethering from the planet's pull, would scour coastlines clean. The planet itself would feel this shift. While the Earth's own massive gravitational pull would remain, the collective, chaotic nullification by 8 billion humans would create bizarre and unpredictable gravitational tides, potentially triggering earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. It's a world thrown into an immediate and existential freefall, even as its inhabitants learn to fly. Within days, a new kind of human emerges. The survivors are those who adapt fastest. Children, with their neuroplasticity and lack of ingrained physical habits, are the first to master the new reality. They invent games of floating tag in the ruins of cities, their laughter echoing in a world that has gone silent. For adults, it's harder. They have to unlearn a lifetime of instinct. They have to consciously think, stay down with every step, a constant mental exertion that is utterly exhausting. A new medical condition, gravitational dissociation sickness, or GDS, emerges, characterized by vertigo, nausea, and a terrifying psychological feeling of being untethered from reality itself. Governments collapse, unable to function when the simple act of sitting in a chair requires a conscious effort. In their place, new societies begin to form, built not around geography, but around skill. There are the anchors, individuals with the immense mental discipline to maintain a constant 1G field, who become the bedrock of new communities, their stability allowing for some semblance of normal life. And then there are the floaters, who embrace the new reality, abandoning the ground altogether. They create free-floating colonies in the upper atmosphere, harvesting clouds for water and using solar power for energy. They are a new breed of human, adapted for a three-dimensional existence. Transportation is the first industry to be completely reborn. Cars, trains, and airplanes become obsolete overnight. Why sit in a metal box when you can simply will yourself to your destination? The concept of a road vanishes. Personal flight becomes the primary mode of travel. This isn't the graceful, effortless flight of superheroes. It's a skill that requires practice and immense concentration. Novices wobble through the air, overshooting their destinations, colliding with buildings and each other. Flight paths become a necessity, invisible highways in the sky, regulated by flashing lights and sonic buoys to prevent mid-air collisions. The fastest flyers are not necessarily the strongest, but those with the most precise mental control. They can manipulate their personal gravity with such finesse that they can accelerate to hundreds of miles per hour, creating a small, gravity-drive bubble around them. This revolutionizes trade. A farmer in rural France can harvest her crops in the morning and personally fly them to a market in Beijing by the afternoon. The global supply chain, once dependent on massive, slow-moving ships and carbon-belching planes, becomes a network of individual couriers. This has a profound impact on the global economy. Fossil fuels become worthless. The world's energy needs shift to portable, high-density sources to power personal environmental suits, as the upper atmosphere is cold and thin. Companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin, once focused on leaving Earth, find themselves in the business of creating orbital and high-altitude habitats. Architecture undergoes its most significant revolution in history. Buildings are no longer about fighting gravity, but about accommodating it, or the lack thereof. New structures are spherical or amorphous, with no defined floors or ceilings. Entrances can be on any surface. Furniture is magnetized or secured with harnesses. The concept of a ground floor becomes archaic. The most sought-after real estate is no longer beachfront property, but stable, geostationary anchor points in the sky. These skyhooks are massive, asteroid-like structures built by anchors, around which entire cities coalesce. Life in these floating metropolises is vastly different. Agriculture takes place in spinning, zero-G greenhouses. Water is recycled with near-perfect efficiency. Waste is simply ejected and allowed to burn up in the lower atmosphere. But this new world creates a new form of social stratification. There's a literal upper class living in the pristine, controlled environments of the sky cities, and a lower class of grounders who, for philosophical, physical, or psychological reasons, choose to remain tethered to the Earth's surface. These grounders live in the ruins of the old world, retrofitting old buildings and living a life that is, in many ways, more traditional, but also more dangerous, constantly at risk from falling debris from the sky cities above. The biological consequences are profound. A generation is born in zero-G or microgravity environments. Their bodies are fundamentally different. They are taller, with elongated spines. Their hearts are smaller and weaker, as they don't have to fight gravity to pump blood. Their bones are brittle, lacking the density that comes from constant gravitational stress. This is a well-documented phenomenon observed in astronauts who spend extended periods in space. A study published by NASA on the effects of long-duration spaceflight details how astronauts can lose up to 1 to 2% of their bone mass for each month spent in orbit. Now imagine an entire lifetime. These new humans, the Homo caelestes or sky people, would be unable to survive on Earth's surface. The full force of 1G would crush their fragile skeletons and overwhelm their cardiovascular systems. Humanity has split into two distinct subspecies, physically incompatible with each other's worlds. The natural world is also irrevocably changed. Trees, no longer needing to fight gravity to pull water up from their roots, could grow to titanic sizes, reaching into the upper atmosphere. Birds, masters of flight, would have to contend with floating humans, leading to new evolutionary pressures. Predation would change entirely. A wolf, for instance, could no longer rely on trapping its prey on the ground. It might need to evolve ways to leap higher, or perhaps even develop a rudimentary form of gravitational manipulation itself. The very laws of biology are being rewritten. But perhaps the most significant change is not physical, but psychological. What does it mean to be human when the most fundamental constant of your existence is a choice? The concepts of up and down are not just directional. They are deeply ingrained in our language and our philosophy. We speak of feeling down, of rising to the occasion, of high aspirations and lowly beginnings. When these concepts lose their physical meaning, does their metaphorical meaning change as well? Religion, philosophy, and art are all forced to grapple with this new reality. New faiths emerge, worshipping the void, the freedom from physical constraints. Others cling desperately to the earth, viewing gravity as a divine gift, a source of stability in a chaotic universe. The psychological toll is immense. The constant choice of whether to be tethered or untethered creates a pervasive, low-level anxiety. For some, the freedom is too much, leading to a new form of suicide where individuals simply nullify their gravity and float away into the void of space. For others, it is the ultimate form of liberation. They explore the planet in ways never before imagined, diving into the deepest ocean trenches without a submarine, or ascending to the edge of space without a rocket. Humanity is untethered, for better and for worse. We have been given the powers of gods, but we still have the minds of men. The G event was not an end, but a violent, chaotic, and terrifying new beginning, a forced evolution into something unknown. And so, humanity stands at a precipice, floating between the ruins of the old world and the promise of the new. We have conquered the vertical dimension, but in doing so, we may have lost a fundamental part of ourselves. Children of the sky, with their frail bones and boundless freedom, look down upon the broken earth, a planet that is their cradle but can no longer be their home. The grounders look up, at the sparkling lights of the floating cities, and see either a beacon of a future they can never join, or a terrifying monument to a humanity that has left its own soul behind. The choice that was given to everyone has now divided everyone, creating a chasm not of distance, but of gravity itself, a chasm that may be impossible to cross. The silence between these two worlds is deafening, filled with the unspoken question of what we have gained and the terrifying realization of all that we have lost. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting videos. So, as a new, weightless generation looks out at the stars, no longer bound by the planetary cradle that birthed them, would their ultimate destiny be to leave Earth behind forever? Or would the invisible pull of their ancestral home prove to be a force stronger than gravity itself?